If you thought my wisdom teeth story was bad, just wait till you hear this one. So, sorry for that really cheesy intro, but when I was 9 years old, I had a really bad experience with one of my back teeth. It wasn't like, I don't know the name of it. I'm not a dentist. But it was one of my back teeth, I'm pretty sure on my right side. And so to preface all of this, I get cavities a lot. I'm like apparently very prone to getting cavities. And I also was not the best at brushing my teeth at the time. I was a kid. Don't judge me. But anyways, I was like 9 years old and I had to go and just, get a filling for a cavity I had, which for me was like no big deal. Just like another Tuesday pretty much. And so about a month later, I started like feeling this like slight pain in my jaw. And I was like, oh, this is weird. But, I was like, oh, it'll probably just last like a day or two. Like maybe I got a toothache. I honestly don't remember like how long this went on for, but I'm pretty sure it went on for like at least a month. Just like that slight pain, I think. The timeline's very foggy because it's been a while. But anyways, so and then like a couple weeks later, it got into like a very intense pain. Sorry, my dogs are fighting, as always. And I was like, okay, like we need to go to the dentist. Like, I don't know what's wrong with me. And so we went to my dentist and they were like, oh, we think you're just teething. Now, if you're unfamiliar with teething, that's something that happens when you are like a baby. I almost said a child, but no, a baby, like a toddler. It was not teething, which we'll get into later, but they were convinced. They were like, yep, she's just teething, like give her like teething gel and like other things for that. And they were like, yeah, one of your like back teeth never developed. And I was like, what the heck are you talking about? And I was so confused, and so were my parents, but we were like, I mean, we're not dentists, so like, yeah, we'll trust them, whatever. So we took their word for it. We were like, okay, I'm teething, whatever. Tried to use like teething gel and stuff, and that did not help. And so then after a little bit, we went to a doctor, and I didn't really like go to the doctor that often as a kid. And so we just went to the same doctor that was in the dentist office because we were like, well, if they can't figure it out, maybe we can go to the dentist office again and get a second opinion because I really don't think it's teething. So we went to the doctor and they were like, yeah, we really have no idea like what's wrong with you. And they were like, one of the things that should help would be chewing gum. And then they prescribed me like this weird medicine. I don't even remember what the heck it was, but I don't even remember what it was for, but they were like, yeah, this should help, and then just like chew some gum. I think it's just from like your jaw not being active, because I wouldn't say quiet, but I didn't talk a lot at school because 1, I didn't really have any friends, and 2, I got bullied a lot, and 3, I didn't really have any friends. So they were like, yeah, it's probably just your jaw like being inactive. And I was like, it's throbbing pain. Like the only way I could like sleep at night is if I was laying on my jaw because there was pressure against it. And I was like, what the heck do you mean? Like, I don't know why, but this is funny. When I was like growing up, my mom used to always watch Mystery Diagnosis, and I would like watch it with her sometimes, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna get to go on like Mystery Diagnosis, like no one knows what's wrong with me. It was not that exciting, but I guess this is my own rendition of Mystery Diagnosis. It's quite a fun time. Anyways, like no one knew what was wrong. Like we went to the dentist again. They were like, yeah, you're still teething. Like we know it sounds weird, but like we're dentists. We know what's going on. And I was like, except you don't, because I'm not a toddler. I was 9 years old. Like maybe if I was 4, I could see it, but I was 9. And like I didn't have any baby teeth, at least I don't think I did. I might have. Don't have the best memory on letting my baby teeth were lying. Anyways, So, like, no one knew what was wrong. And so my dad was trying to research, like, different dentists. And for some weird reason, I didn't go to his dentist because they wanted me to go to a dentist that I could go to after school, so I wasn't missing school. And so I went to a dentist in, like, the city that's nearby my city. It's about a 30-ish minute drive, depending on what part of the city you're going to, but the part that my dentist was in, it was about 30 minutes. Anyways, yeah, I don't know why I didn't go to his dentist, but anyways, we went to this new dentist, and I forgot, like, a huge detail of the story. So I was quite a baby when it came to pain when I was, like, 9. Now dealing with chronic pain and, like, my whole wisdom teeth experience and everything, I have learned to deal with pain more manageably, and I have a higher tolerance for pain. Like, most things don't even bother me. Like, I'll burn myself at work, and most people will be like, dude, you didn't even flinch, and I'm like, yeah, that's because I literally have a huge headache right now, and that little burn doesn't really matter. But anyways, so I, like, told my teacher one day, I, like, walked up to her and I was like, my tooth really hurts. And I vividly remember she was, like, sitting on her chair. She was, like, facing her desk and her computer, and she had, like, a spinny chair, so she rolled it around and she went, really, it's a tooth, like, grow up. And I was like, what the heck? Like, even if it was, like, just a toothache, you don't say that to a kid. Like, I understand tough love, but, like, I was already afraid of this teacher, so, like, the fact that I was telling her that I was in pain, I was like, dude, you can't talk to me like that. And so eventually she ended up calling my dad, and my dad came and he brought me some ibuprofen. And then the, like, next couple days, he was like, yeah, until your dentist appointment, like, we'll give you more ibuprofen, like, that's just how it'll be. And then, so the day after the day that I just spoken about, so the next day, I guess, the tomorrow, I was at school, and my teacher was like, oh, Sierra, like, your lower jaw, that has, like, a little, like, red splotch on it. It was probably, like, this big, like, about the size of my eyeball. And she was like, oh, is that, like, from your tooth, do you think? And I was like, I don't know, probably, like, no one can figure out what's wrong with it. And I was like, yeah, that's probably it. And I just kind of thought nothing of it. And that day I had actually forgotten my Advil, or my ibuprofen, or my dad forgot to pack it because, like, we had just agreed to start doing that. And so he was working on our new house that was, like, probably a couple minutes away from my school. So he went, he got some ibuprofen, came to my school, and my teacher, like, pointed out, like, the little red splotch, and he was like, oh, okay, like, I think we have a dentist appointment tomorrow, so we'll, like, mention that to them. And then that was kind of the end of it. I was like, well, there's nothing I can do. I have a red splotch. We're going to the dentist tomorrow. They'll tell me what they think then. And so when I woke up the next morning, I am not even kidding, because later on in the day, they drew on my face from my ear, at the top of my ear, to about around to my chin, and it did go in that line. My whole face was, like, bright red, and it would not go away, and it hurt so bad. I was almost crying, like, it was so terrible. And I was like, Dad, we need to go to the dentist. And he was like, I know, your appointment's today. And I was like, okay, good, because I was so in pain and I just wanted someone to fix it. So we go to the dentist, and I'm pretty sure they booked, like, an hour-long appointment, because they probably thought, I don't know what they thought actually, but my dad said they booked an hour. And within 5 minutes of being at the dentist, he looks at me and he says, oh, I cannot help you. You had a filling that leaked and you have now been consuming it, and so you need to go to the hospital. You need to be put on antibiotics, and then we can look at getting a root canal done, but that probably wouldn't be for, like, a month or two until, like, my body had adjusted. And I was like, I have to go to the hospital? And it was just like so annoying because I was like, this man figured it out in 5 minutes, and yet I went to the dentist twice and the doctors, and they are all just like, oh, you're teething. Oh, you don't talk enough. Your jaw is underworked. I was like, what the heck? This doesn't even make any sense. And so as a kid, you know, with anxiety, the first thing that came out of my mouth was, but I have a big social project that's due tomorrow. I have to hand it in. That was the first thing that came out of my mouth. I had to go to the hospital. I had been to the hospital before when I was 5 because I had pneumonia or bronchitis. My family can never remember which one it is. But like still, I didn't go to the hospital often. And so I was like, I have to finish my social project. And the dental hygienist actually kind of laughed. She was like, wow, I've never heard a kid be so concerned about their social project when going to the hospital. Like I could not care. I could not have cared less about my tooth. I was just concerned about my social project and that I was going to fail. And my dad was like, don't worry, I'll call your teacher. We'll make sure she knows what the heck is going on and you're not going to fail your project. You're fine. And so I was like, all right, sounds good. So we went to the doctor, or to the hospital, and the hospital visit was interesting because I was like 5 years old when I first went. I didn't really remember like any of that experience, like kind of, but not really. We were in the waiting room for 6 hours. And when I was a kid, I was like, if you go to the emergency room, like that's, you know, an emergency. And so I was like, what the heck? Like, why haven't they seen us yet? We're in the emergency room. And then my dad had to explain to me, like, that's not how things work. The emergency room, yes, is for emergencies, but like people are served on priorities, and swallowing a filling is not really, I guess, a high priority, which I understand because, you know, there are other things. Yeah. Another thing I forgot to mention, I actually almost died from this because I had been like consuming the filling for so long, and so it was like urgent that I went to the hospital. Like they were like, we don't even have time for you to go grab some stuff, like someone's gonna have to bring it to you, you need to go now, you need to be seen today. And I was very upset because I was like, what am I gonna do? I have nothing to do. The only thing I have to do is my schoolwork. And my dad, you know, being the optimistic and helpful dad that he was like, you can work on your social project because I know you're so worried about that. And while that is sweet, you know, when you're dying and all you want to do is just like hang out with your stuffed animals, that's not very comforting. But I did my social project anyways and I worked on it. Yeah, so the like hospital, it was pretty like standard hospital experience, like nothing major. I'm pretty sure I stayed at the hospital for 3 days. But because of what had happened, I had to have an IV in my arm, and I could not change my shirt because there was like a whole bunch of wires through me, and they were like, you just can't change your shirt. I don't know why. And looking back, that sounds really weird, but I couldn't change my shirt, so I wore this bright pink shirt, and it had the numbers 99 in floral, and then it had floral sleeves. It was 3/4 length. I do remember that. Don't know why. But I had to wear that shirt for 3 days straight, and then luckily I was allowed to change my pants and like everything else, but just not my shirt. I had to stay in day surgery room because they didn't actually have enough rooms for everyone, and so they were like, yeah, we'll just stick her in day surgery. But I don't know if I was just like so nervous that I like didn't hear them telling me, or like if they just told my parents that I was going to day surgery but I wasn't having surgery. I don't really remember, but I just remember I walked in and there was like a big sign and it said day surgery, and I was like, I have to get surgery? Like no one told me this. I was freaking out. I was like, I don't want to get a surgery. And then my dad was like, you're not getting a surgery. And like I'm pretty sure they told me, but I was just like so stressed out about my tooth and probably in pain that I was like, yeah, in one ear and out the other. And also most of the time the doctors came in and would be like, hi, how are you? And then they'd be like doing their medical stuff and they're like taking notes, and I was like, yeah, I don't even care, man. Yeah, so I had to stay in day surgery because they didn't have enough rooms, which is fine. Like I didn't really care, but I was just like, the heck, I have to get surgery. And another funny story, it was actually the same bed that my brother stayed in when he had to get a surgery, which my dad noticed, which I personally thought was cool. My brother was like, I don't care. So we shared a bed at a hospital. Cool, like whatever. I was like, no, that's cool, dude. He didn't really feel the same way. But anyways, so for like the 3 days, I was pretty bored. My grandpa, who lives in a different province, came to visit like during that week, like not because of this whole thing with my tooth, like he had already planned it like 6 months in advance, and it just happened to be when I had to go to the hospital. So like he came and visited me. My grandma came and visited me for a day because my dad was like, I have a really important meeting, but I don't want to leave you, and my mom doesn't drive. And so my grandma came and she hung out with me for the day. All I did was read when I was with her because my teacher actually came to visit me in the hospital, and she dropped off the book that we were supposed to be reading in English class. And my grandma, she used to work at a school, not as a teacher, she was a speech therapist. She was like, okay, well, your teacher brought you your book, so you should be reading that. And also she loved to read, so like I wasn't complaining, I was fine with reading the book, but I was like, Grandma, I'm like in the hospital, I don't really want to be reading right now. But anyways, the hospital was pretty much fine. I got to eat lots of ice cream and popsicles because they were like, oh yeah, it'll help like numb the pain. It was pretty standard. The food, honestly, for like my experience, it was good. The only meal that I didn't like, and it wasn't really like it was bad, it was just like my personal food preferences, is that they don't really ask you like if you want like a certain food on your plate unless it's like an allergy related thing. And so they served chicken, mashed potatoes, and broccoli, and the chicken and mashed potatoes were covered in gravy, and I do not like gravy. And so I just kind of was there and I ate my broccoli, and my dad actually went to go get my mom and the rest of my family so I could see them. And so I was alone for like an hour, which my mom was already very nervous about, but my dad was like, she's fine. She's in the hospital. There are nurses. She has grandma's number in case in the hour we're gone, something happens. But anyways, my dad went to go get my whole family, and apparently they stopped at Wendy's and they brought me a burger, and my brother walked in with the junior bacon cheeseburger. And I remember I don't even think I said hello to him. I just grabbed the burger and started eating it because the only thing I ate that day was for dinner, was broccoli. And some of it was even covered in gravy, so I probably had like 4 pieces of broccoli. I tried to like scoop some mashed potatoes out, did not work, didn't even look at the chicken. And so I was like, oh my gosh, it's a junior bacon cheeseburger, this is great. Anyways, so that week I actually had a birthday party to go to. It was for one of my good friends at the time, and I had pretty much just like come to accept that I wasn't going to be going because I was in the hospital. And then actually the day of the party I got released, and I think I got released at like 10 and the party was at like 1. And so I was like, Dad, can I please go to the party? Like, I've been in the hospital all week, I just want to go see my friends. And he was like, yeah, sure, I don't see like why not. The only thing they said was to like avoid expanding my mouth so much, which I was like, okay, sounds interesting, but all right. So I did get to go to my friend's birthday party, and it was really fun. And surprisingly enough, we did actually have a game that we had to play. We like did the Chubby Bunny challenge, and so I could not participate in that one because they were like, yeah, you can't do that. So I didn't do that one. But other than that, the party was fun, at least from my memory. And that was basically my whole tooth experience. And what I like to sum it up to some people is I almost died, and the only thing I cared about was the fact that my social project was not completed. And that's how I like to sum up that story. And yeah, that's all I got for today, and I'll see you next time.